Hey, what's up? You're here today with Nick the Informative Fisherman, and today we're going to be discussing how to make your own marker rod out of some old bobbers, some snap swivels, some braided line, slider, pyramid weight, and an old rod that you can happen to just have laying around the garage with a really flexible tip. This is the key parts. Now let me give you a close-up on what exactly we're going to use this for. Okay, now looking at this rig, you're probably wondering what this is for. I have my braided line running through the slider, which is connected to a 3-ounce pyramid weight, which is connected to a swivel, which I have connected to a little bright fluorescent bobber. Now what this is for is tracking the bottom. You want to feel the bottom out. Say you're fishing from the bank and you want to make a cast out there and you need to know where a shelf is or a drop off, or you're looking for a gravel area versus a muddy bottom. And you drag this pyramid weight along the bottom, and by feeling as you pull it along, you'll be able to see your rod tip gradually pull smoothly if you're on gravel, or if it'll bog down if you're in the mud, or per se you drop off an edge, you'll see that sudden bounce. Now say you feel that and you want to know exactly where that spot is, okay? You don't know exactly where your line is. So what you'll do is you'll stop retrieving and you'll open up your line release or your bail, depending on what rod you're fishing with, your setup, and you'll start to feed out 1 foot at a time. So say you feed out 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, you know, and then you see what your bobber penetrate the surface, and you see it right there, so you know you're directly on top of that spot. So now with another rod you are able to cast it that exact area that you were looking for. Or say you just wanted to know how deep it is and there was a shelf there, so you move it up, you know, you reel it up another 2 foot, and then you bring it up, and then you realize, well, hey, I only had to give it a foot to see right there, so now I know I'm dealing with the drop-off. So now I found that drop-off and my line's snug, okay, so I want to see exactly where I want to cast. I don't want to move it around because I know I'm on that spot that I want to make a cast to. So how do I start feeding my line out? Now, like I said, you want to open up your bail, or you can loosen your drag. And as you can see, a foot up from the base of my reel here, I have some electrical tape where I just made a little notch signifying that that's 1 foot. So what I would do at this point is I would grab the line, feed it out 1 foot, 2 foot. I still don't see the bobber penetrating the surface. 3 foot. Still don't see it. 4 foot. Whoop, the bobber. I can now see it on the surface, so I know I'm fishing 4 foot of water. So now I can leave my bobber out there and I can go grab my other setup and make a cast out there, you know, exactly to that bobber. Or I just wanted to know the general area and I want to find some more spots, so I cast in and bring it back up. But now you're getting these clues of how the bottom's designed, where that drop off might be. Does it taper around? And with the marker rod, it's a great tool for knowing what the bottom looks like, searching for that particular area. Say you're looking for the grass on a big muddy area and you don't know where it is, but you've seen it on low tide or you've seen it when the water was clear and you want to find it. A marker rod's fantastic for that. Okay, so let's make our way down to the water and give this guy a try. Alright, now for a close-up on this rig. Now how I have the line running through the slider, the long end of the slider. As you can see, there's a short end to where it snaps on the long end. The long end needs to face your bobber. What this will do is it'll prevent it from getting tangled around the line as easy. From there I have the snap swivel attached, and the reason for the snap swivel is there's less line for this to get snagged to. As you can see, the corner of the pyramid weight would get snagged around the line versus a big thick snap swivel. It's not going to do that nearly as often. So plus it'll just let your bobber, you know, slip through way more often, almost 100% of the time. And I also have 65-pound braid on here. Now the reason for this is now and then I'll cast it up into rocks. I want to feel where each rock is before I start pounding a spot or I come back to it. Sure, you could disturb the area, but you come back the next day, the fish never knew what happened, and your rig's still ready to go for a new spot. So I use the 65-pound braid to prevent me from getting snagged up and breaking my rig off. But this is a cheap, simple setup, and that's why I use this versus your more expensive carp marker rigs. Okay, so first things first, what we're going to talk about is measuring the depth. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure my drag is tight so I can cast this 3-ounce pyramid weight that I have on here. And I'm going to give it a cast right out here like so. I'm going to let the line feed out. Now I know I'm on the bottom. So then from this point I want to loosen my drag so I can feed out drag with my hands. So I'm going to loosen it up really loose. And I'm going to grab right above the base and pull up 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 foot right there. And as you can see, our bobber up here, now I can give you a little tug so you can spot that bobber out there. That shows that it's 8 foot. So now I know that that spot right there is 8 foot. So I'm going to tighten up my drag. I'm going to reel my bobber back down to my weight. Now I know, I say, okay, so I wanted to fish 8 foot of water, so I knew that was 8 foot, but I want a gravel bottom. Say, I know this slough back here is about 8 foot deep in one of the deep spots, but I want a gravel bottom. I want to try to catch some stripers off a hard bottom. So I'm going to overcast my spot. Feed out a little bit of line. Already I can feel that it's shallower over there. But now I'm going to start my retrieval. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to pull the line with my reel, but my rod tip. And it's sliding that weight fairly easy without bending my rod tip too far. So now I feel as if I've hooked up on something and it pulled loose. So now I know I was on some grass right there because it caught on there and then popped loose and springed back. So I'm going to reel the loose line and I'm going to give it a slight pull again. And it's pumping really slow like I'm pulling through some thick silt. So I know that spot's fairly muddy. So I'm going to reel in again, give it a pull. There we go. Now it's sliding nice and easy across there, not too difficult. And now I reach some silt again. So I knew I had a gravel patch that spot where it was sliding a little bit easier. There I got some gravel right there. So where exactly is my gravel now? I want to loosen my drag because I know I'm right on top of some gravel. And I'm going to feed out 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, 5 feet, 6, 7, 8, don't spot it yet, 9, 10 foot deep, and the bobber is right out there. I'm not sure if you can spot that, but right out there. It's 10 foot deep, and I have a hard gravel bottom. That's what I was looking for. So now I know I can make my cast relatively close to where my marker is, and I know I'll be on a gravel bottom 10 foot deep. So if that's the type of structure or the texture of the bottom that I was keying in on and that I intended on fishing on my way over here, so now I know I've spotted it. I'm on a gravel bed right there that's 10 foot deep. I'm going to work my bobber down right to my weight. There it is. Now I can feel that I kind of have to force this thing uphill. So now I'm going to show you the exact same result right up close in front of me here. Loosen my drag back up. Feed my line out. 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, 4 foot, about 4.5 max. Right there. And as you can see the bobber, we're in a 4.5 feet. And that is how you use a marker setup. So getting started with these guys, it's generally not too difficult. It's just one of those key things that you want to add into your fishing game. It's really important if you make it out to some bank or some shoreline where you don't have a depth finder or a fish finder and you can't see what that bottom looks like, or even on your fish finder you could sometimes get silt and a hard flat bottom slightly confused with the neck, so you can even cast this marker out from a boat even using your depth finder, fish finder, what have you. And this will really tell you a lot about the bottom, especially if you're on your home waters and you've never been familiar with it. You can go out there one time, work it over thoroughly with one of these guys, and you'll have a much better idea coming out the next time, say where those points are, where those high spots are, where the flat's the muddy spot. So you know each fish species out there conjugates to a different area than the next. And by using these guys, you're going to learn a whole lot more about your area. You're going to make it a whole lot easier on yourself, plus you'll be able to impress somebody with your newfound skill. I'm Nick the Informative Fisherman, and we'll see you next time.